Hello everyone, I'm Benji. I'm here to give you an update on how the tracking for the new record is going. So as you probably know, I was not able to fly to Australia to record the new album. It should have been done by now, but everything is up in the air with the current virus situation around the globe. The entertainment industry is suffering a lot. I'm sure you will have noticed that. And so I ended up having to record all my guitars from France, and luckily guitar in this day and age is electric guitar is quite easy to record, at least because all I really need is the DI, the direct input signal of my guitar. I need a great interface, which I have right here, an Apple Audio, which will capture the DI in the cleanest and truest form possible, and that signal will then be re-amplified in Mark Lewis studio in the USA, and I will then have a great tone. So yeah, I've been tracking the rhythm guitars at home. I will need to go to a proper studio to record the acoustic, of course, because when you record acoustic guitar, the room is a big part of the sound, and this is my bedroom slash home studio slash gym these days even. So yeah, I'll get all my ladies here and a bit of sunlight. So let me show you how it looks. Here I'm on Pro Tools. Yep, pretty much 6 to 10 hours a day. I feel the Pro Tools burn every now and then, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So how I work, it's quite simple really. I'm the second member of the band to record anything, so Dan, of course, did the drums. As you probably know, those were done a couple months ago before everything turned to crap in Nashville. He actually got lucky, just a few hours. He managed to get back to Australia just a few hours before the lockdown was put in place there, or the quarantine at least, for all incoming passengers. So what I have here is a single drum track. I was sent a lot of drum tracks from Mark Lewis, but I just did a raw export of those tracks. So instead of having 40 drum tracks that I don't really need, I bounced them into a single file, which I have here, and that's what I use for reference. So yeah, it's everything you want really. It's really easy to record to that. I just put a bit of compression on it, parallel compression, and it already sounds huge, so I'm very much looking forward to the final mix. The way it works, alright, is I record, there's one guitar panned left, as you can see here, another one panned right, and one panned in the middle. That's how I do it. I do not do quad tracking. I don't think that it's necessary for Neo, which is not very much a guitar-centered band. I mean, it is in a few ways, but you will find bands out there that are way more focused on guitars. I mean, heavy metal is a guitar-based genre, but in Neo, everything's important, I guess. And quad tracking is also really hard to do. I don't think it's quite necessary. Like, we will get a fat sound. It's also a lot more work and really hard to do. So one guitar pan left, it's the DI, you can see it in the name here. That's the left guitar rhythm DI, so the direct signal coming straight out of my guitar, going into the Apple Audio right here. And then I create a second track with my AX8, so I get a print of the sound that I like of my AX8, which I use a lot. It's great, but I don't really, I don't listen to it much. The thing is that whenever you're editing tracks, it's much easier to work with a DI signal. You can clearly see where I've hit. This is slightly early, this is spot on, this is kind of spot on, etc, etc. And the amplified signal, you can find it on the track below here, AX81. It looks more like a block already. And this one you can clearly see every note that I've hit. So yeah, I do, whenever I record them, you can see they're grouped, so every action that I do on the left guitar applies to the DI track and the AX8 track. For my DI, I use a plugin to monitor what I'm doing, which is STL Tone Hub. It's really great. I was actually lucky enough to have Mark Lewis dialing me a tone on that, because it's actually Mark Lewis pack, and I highly recommend it. It's actually amazing. That it's crazy, the plugins these days. So STL Tone Hub is the creation of Joey Sturgis, I believe that is the name of the man. But he commissioned a bunch of famous producers to dial in and some tones using whatever technology they have. I actually have no idea how that works, but anyway, the result is here and it's amazing. Snippet. That's it. What you hear is this. As you can see, there's nothing else really. These are my other plugins that I did try to get a tone, but I settled for that one. They're all grayed out because they're not being used. And all the DI tracks are being sent to a master bus, which is that one, and all there is a bit of EQ on it. And that's it. And the way I track, I usually, you can see a bunch of playlists where I will have a bunch of takes. Well, I've done that song, so now it's kind of cleaned up, and these are just like several options, but I leave for Mark Lewis if he wants to maybe use that version instead of that version, etc., etc. Like, I think everything that I left in here I think is good, and it will be up to him to choose what he thinks is best. So the way it works is that I usually record, well, I've cleaned it up, there's usually more than that, there's like 3, 4, 5 different playlists, and I record the riffs, and every time I'm happy with it, I just call it throwing it into the pile. I do my recording, and then I put it in here, and once it's done, I do what's called the compiling, which is I go back and listen to each and every take, like that, and I listen to them individually, of course, and pick up the best one. And then what you see here is the patchwork of, like, I think that was the best I've played it out of the 5 ones. That beat is the best I've played out of the 5 overtakes, etc., etc., etc. And yeah, when your songs are, well, that one's actually not that long for Neo, it's 8 minutes something. So it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of time, and it's a lot of work to do by yourself, honestly. It would be much better if I had someone, an actual recording engineer, who would be in the studio pressing the buttons for me, because after a few hours, honestly, it's really hard to tell what's good or not. But hey, you know, still beats working in a warehouse, in my opinion. But yeah, so I'm currently doing 2.5, 3 songs, and Matt will be recording 1.5 songs. It's actually, it's a bit of a standard these days, but it's much better when on the single track it's the same guitar player who plays all the parts, rather than having one player doing his part and the other one doing his parts on the other side, because there are subtle differences. No matter how close your playing style is to your bandmate, you will have differences. They will be subtle, and they will come out when you're recording, and you don't want that. You just don't want that. So it's much better when it's the same guy doing all the guitar parts in specific songs, or at least specific parts. So some songs we're splitting, some songs I'm doing it all, some songs Matt is doing it all. Matt has the exact same setup than me, the same interface and the same digital audio workstation and the same plugin, so we can cross-reference everything we have. It's super easy. He can just send me his tracks, and I just have to slide it there, and that's it, and vice versa. He can do the same with my stuff. And everything's being recorded with my brand new Carillion and the incredible bare knuckle pickups. Very, very versatile. I have a Floyd So this needs to be muffled the best you can, otherwise you will hear the springs ringing when you're trying to do fast poignant stuff. And yeah, so this is what I could tell you. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will keep you updated on how the recording is going. Thank you.